is suing the University of Florida, their head coach, and a booster. How does this work? How does this even pertain to Clemson football? We're going to get to that and more. Welcome to Clemson Football Live. I was trying to cue that up to play and it wouldn't. That's why I hesitated, like I'd lost my mind. Then again, for some of you, it's hard to lose what you've never had. I'm glad you're here. I hope you'll subscribe. It's free. If you like what I'm doing, you'll pass it along to your friends, neighbors, and so on. So this is a big deal that's came out over the past few days, and I am going to give you the Cliff Notes version of this. There's a young man named Jaden Rashada. Jaden Rashada was a top quarterback coming out of high school, and the University of Miami had offered him $9 million via NIL and all this bunch of stuff to come play football at their school. And like any good young man who understands that you go to work for money, he said, okay, yeah, I'm going to do that. Well, the University of Florida comes along and says, we're going to offer you over $13 million to come to the University of Florida. And allegedly, Billy Napier, the former Clemson offensive coordinator, former Furman quarterback, former Louisiana coach, current Florida head coach, allegedly said that he would give Jaden Rashada $1 million to sign on National Signing Day. And then something fell through. Jaden Rashada did not receive any of that money. He ended up going to Arizona State last year, where he passed for about 485 yards. And then about a month ago, something interesting happens. He transfers to the University of Georgia. This is getting good. And after transferring to the University of Georgia, or somewhere around the time that he was going to do so, it's pretty much it's a rumor, but it's almost a solidified fact that his family let Kirby Smart know that they were going to file this lawsuit against Billy Napier, as well as a University of Florida booster who had pledged the money to get Jaden Rashada into Gainesville, Florida. Now, let me go ahead and just get a few things out of the way, and then I'm going to give some commentary, kind of go in a different direction. First, welcome to the cesspool that is college football. This is it. This is where we're at. You need to understand, first, this young man's going to have to prove everything. Whether it be text messages, whether it be email, whether someone recorded anyone promising this, that, and the other. Because at the end of the day, unless he can prove it in a court of law, no matter whether he was lied to, if he cannot prove it, he will receive nothing. Now, if they promise this young man this money, he and his family, I hope he gets every dime of it. I hope he gets every dime of it. But they're going to have to prove it in a court of law. Now, I grew up, I was born in 1982, but I grew up in the 90s. I remember the O.J. Simpson trial. Everybody, including some of his lawyers, believed he killed his wife. They couldn't prove it. The prosecution could not prove it. And what happened to O.J.? He was found not guilty. But the vast majority of you believe O.J. Simpson did something quite heinous and got away with it. So first, you're going to have to prove it. All right? You're going to have to prove it. And if they did defraud this young man, they owe him the money. And that's my commentary on Jaden Rashada suing the University of Florida. Now, here's my commentary and my thoughts on the state of college football. Are we really enjoying this? I know I'm not. And who do I blame for this? Do I blame a kid coming out of high school who is being offered more money than most people can count to come to their school? No. I don't blame him. And I'll pause right there and Same subject, different subject at the same time. I fear for these young men, these boys, these guys. I fear for them because we see what professional athletes who are in their early to mid 20s, what they go through. The people who are leeching onto them. The stories of them paying for friends and family, their living accommodations. Just because they've been guilted into, you got to give back. Well, that I know of, they didn't take anything, so why should they be giving back? Yeah, they could give out of the goodness of their heart, but these people are leeches. You hear me every now and again reference Instagram models who come after these athletes and celebrities. This is real. This is not a made-up thing. By the way, you want to see something sick and grotesque? Go look up a documentary on YouTube about the Instagram models flying to Dubai, and they will do unthinkable things for money, and these guys in Dubai will fly them over, pay them outrageous money, and it's sick. It's grotesque. So, of course, I'm not saying all Instagram models are terrible people. That's not what I'm saying. But it's the idea that they will leech on to one of these young athletes, and instead of flying to Dubai and having a relationship with a minor while a sheik watches, which, by the way, that was one of the stories. It's disgusting. Sure, it sounds a lot more okay to go after an 18-year-old right out of high school. But you have to watch out because these types of leeches are out there. I feel bad for them. And a lot of them don't have people around them telling them to invest their money well. Hey, I know Aunt so-and-so over there. She might have fed you growing up, and you want to give her a few things and maybe help her, with her water bill and stuff like that. But Aunt so-and-so chose her lot in life. She's had like 3 husbands. She has like 10 kids, and she doesn't know what created those 10 kids. Maybe you shouldn't pay for Aunt so-and-so. Maybe she should live like that, because what she'll do is Aunt so-and-so will come in and drain you dry. I feel sorry for them. I still feel sorry for a lot of these guys. And you can, if you sense that I have hostility towards it, you guessed right. You're sensing right. But the adults, they are responsible for this mess. The boosters, the administration, the head coaches. And I'm not saying that Billy Napier is guilty here. I'm talking about throughout college football, this is happening. This has been happening in some form or fashion. And then with the explosion of NIL and the transfer portal, it's got worse. And I have like 50 things to say and one mouth to say it. And I can't get it to come out. The adults need to adult. No offense to Jaden Rashada, but he is not worth $13 million coming out of high school. You remember, and I'm going somewhere with this, just stick with me. You remember back in between about 2004 and 2010, somewhere in there, the University of Southern California had quite the football team. Matt Leinart, that Barkley kid, Sanchez, John David Booty, and you're like, John David Booty, I don't remember. I think Kessler was one of the names too. I'm just passively remembering these people. Coming out of high school, a lot of these guys were great. But once they got to Southern Cal, some of them fell flat on their face. Some of them did okay. None of them had a great pro career, and some of them I don't even think made it to the pros. But to pay these kids right out of high school that money, that is not the fault of the kid. I don't blame Jaden Rashada for saying, you know what, University of Miami, unless I make it to the pros, there's nowhere else in life that I would make $9 million unless I become an investor, get really good at it, like wildly good at it. I'll never make $9 million. I'm glad you offered that, but guess what? University of Florida says they'll pay me 13. Almost 50% more than what you'll pay me. Of course I'm going to go there. I don't blame Jaden Rashada for this. I don't blame the athletes who come along and say, you know what, you mean I can stay down here with the culture of Clemson, hand-holding and talking about the Tiger Walk, or I could go to the University of fill in the blank and make $600,000 this year? Sure, Clemson has some form of NIL and blah, 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 but I never hear about any of those big deals going on at Clemson. Maybe you have. Maybe I've missed it. That's fine. I have a life. This is something I just do in my bonus room. This show is just something I do in my bonus room, just hanging out, eating apps. That's an Office reference for some of you. Some of you get that. I blame the boosters. I blame the administrations. I blame some of the head coaches. I blame them for playing this game. I also blame the administrations and the boosters for paying coaches way too much money. We've got silly with the money, folks. We've got silly with the money, slinging around like it doesn't matter. A lot of you will come into this comment section. You'll comment and you'll make these comments like, well, you know, these players are worth the money, and we gotta fork it out. You don't even make $80,000 a year, and you're sitting here talking about someone you don't know, talking about a team that you pull for, but you don't even know the head coach, and you'll burn bridges defending them when you yourself don't earn that money. They're not worth it. This has got out of hand. And it's got to stop. And no, we don't need the government to get involved. Please don't let the government get involved. They can't even pave a road good. We'll raise a tax 1 cent. 3 years later, why aren't the roads paid? Well, we can raise the tax 1 cent. 1 more cent. Well, that's 2 cents in 5 years. Don't question us. Roads still aren't paid. Keep the government out of it. I'm not an anarchist, but my Lord. Jesus said, pay your taxes. He didn't say that you couldn't try to get involved and lower them. He didn't say that you couldn't do that. He didn't say that you had to like it. But this is ridiculous. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm closing this video out. This has to stop. From paying coaches ungodly money that they don't deserve. Jimbo Fisher, don't blame you. Hey, Jimbo, you don't care what I have to think because you're still over there counting your money. Don't blame you for taking that money. Administration, shame on you for giving that man money, gobs of money, with no incentive to perform. Shame on you. Clemson University, and Coach Sweeney, I'm not taking a shot at you. No offense to you. I appreciate what you've done at Clemson. Clemson University, shame on you for paying Dabo Swinney $11 million per year. With a $60 million buyout. I think it's $60 million at this point. Somewhere around there. Shame on you. Well, somebody might swoop in and... No. Shame on you for paying colleges who are trying to pay high school students who hasn't proved their salt. How many high school players have we seen come into the college game and not be worth a crap? Tons. Shame on you. Shame on you for doing that. You're wasting money. You're throwing around like it's Monopoly cash. And you're creating an atmosphere that no one is enjoying. This is trash. This is a cesspool. And I hope it all comes out. I hope the truth comes out completely and totally. And anyone who needs to be held responsible will be held responsible. And this will stop. Well, Brian, it's never going to stop. Okay, that still doesn't mean that I don't have that doesn't mean that I have to accept that. Sorry. More and more people who goes along that line of thinking, like you just said, you are part of the problem. At least push back. Instead of going, well, I don't know what to do. Complain. Complain, complain, complain. You want to know how activists gets their way? They complain until people are like, just please leave me alone. Squeaky, what does the squeaky wheel get? The grease. Complain. Put pressure on people. Don't be violent, but put pressure on people. Be the squeaky wheel that they'll just go, just please shut up. I'll do anything to shut you up. That's what you have to do. That's how you get things done. Folks, leave your comments below. What do you think about college football? What do you think about the state of college football? What do you think about Clemson? What do you think about Georgia? What do you think about this entire subject? And you say, how does this pertain to Clemson? Folks, as much as we try to insulate ourselves to what's going on in the world of college football, and Clemson fans are really, really living in a fairyland. A fairy tale. A land that doesn't exist. A lot of you do. A lot of you thinks that, well, that doesn't happen in Clemson, South Carolina. That's why Coach Swain won't take transfer portal. This was a kid coming out of high school, folks. Stay on subject. It's hard for me to do, trust me. Stay on subject. This affects Clemson. And unless things get better, this sport is going to be trash. Trash. You can take it to the bank. As always, go Tigers.